Good afternoon, London, and Happy New Year. My name is Hina, and I am coming to you from the Master Shah Dad Center here in London with one of our leading teachers, David Lusch. So welcome, David.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you, Hina, and everyone on the line. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. And actually, one of my immediate questions is the first workshop of the year is Open Spiritual Channels. And can you please explain to our audience here, how do Open Spiritual Channels kind of upgrade our new year? And why do we have it first thing of the year?
Well, first of all, people are looking for information. Throughout your whole life, you're looking for information because information informs. And when you have good information, you have the information you need, you can make the best informed decisions for your life and for your spiritual journey. So think of spiritual channels as information channels. And when they're open, you can tap into a higher consciousness, a spiritual consciousness, whatever your belief system may be, to receive better information to guide your life and your spiritual journey. So in order to update or upgrade, you got to open your spiritual channels. And when you open your spiritual channels, you are able to live your life in 2023 and in the future in a better way.
Now, for my next question, my next question is for people who are not actively on their spiritual journey. Number one, is it possible for them to open their spiritual channels? And number two, why should they work on opening their spiritual channels?
Good question. And the answer is yes. It's just like exercise. Think of exercise. You may not be someone working out, but in one day, you can be someone working out. You just have to, change your direction and change your motivation for your life. And so with that being said, what do you need to do? You just need to show up. Like we have an Open Spiritual Channels workshop this Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And so if you have not been on an active spiritual practice, spiritual journey, it's no different than you haven't been working out and you start working out. So when you show up, anyone can open their spiritual channels, just like anyone can start to work out. Anyone can start a new hobby. There is a starting point, but you just have to show up and do it. And so like at our workshop this weekend, doesn't matter if you haven't done anything years, you haven't done anything at all, or you're an advanced practitioner. There's something for everyone and everyone can grow. Now to open them, you need the proper wisdom, you need the way, the practices, the techniques, and then you need to know how to do it, how to open it, how to develop it, how to maintain it, how to grow it, just like in exercising. So think about when you first start working out. The techniques can be very similar. You're working out the same muscle group, you may be doing similar motions, but the length of the workout, the amount of the workout, the level and depth of the workout may be different, but doesn't matter your level because you're always being taken to your max at that stage until you progress to the next. And the spiritual channels and the growth and development work very similarly.
That's a really good analogy. And I really didn't think about it that way because it always seems like such a subtle concept. So David, can you give us an example of how spiritual channels have changed your life?
I have a few examples. I'll share one, a very dramatic one. I was walking on a street in Poland, and I had an assistant with me, and we were there doing events and whatnot. This was back in 2010. Could have been 11. I'm pretty sure it's 2010 though. Might have been 11. Anyways, one of those years, and we were walking down the street, and there was all this confused energy around us. We didn't really know where we were going. And of course, she could speak the language. That's why she was assisting me there. And we were confused. We were walking. She's looking distracted. We were coming up to a busy intersection, and right away, I just heard something, and I stuck out my arm. She was walking next to me. She walked right into my arm, bounced back, and a car went whoosh. 2 seconds right afterwards, right in front of us.
Wow.
And she, of course, she went into like shock and fear. And she was like, oh my God, I could have died and whatever. Because actually, she probably could have. I said, but okay, that was possible. But what? My arm went out. And I said, you were protected and safe. Let's express gratitude. But because my spiritual channels were aware, and in fact, I wasn't even looking at her. I wasn't looking back over my shoulder because I was confused. And all of a sudden I stopped and I just went, boom. and she ran right in, and it literally saved her life.
Wow.
So that's one example of spiritual channels. Another example of spiritual channels and how it's benefited my life in different ways is, I have a book, How I Healed My Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, and that's a story for another time and place. But I actually use my spiritual channels to flow out the book in the best way it can serve others. Because when it comes to your own story, let's be honest, most of us feel there's a lot of information and details people should know, even if it's actually it's not relevant to telling the story that people need to hear. And so there were many aspects of my healing process, my life, my journey, I felt, from my mind level, maybe should be included. But when I checked in my spiritual channels, I heard, no, it's not relevant. So I didn't include it. Now, I'll give an example of someone else. And I've helped train thousands of people to open their spiritual channels for about 15 years now, whether it's been in teleclasses, webcasts, in-person events, webinar events, training programs, certification training programs, and more. And one of the ways that some of these students have benefited, it's really been beyond comprehension and words on how life has changed for so many different people. Now, one of my students in Berlin, and she's also a business person. She's done many different modalities. And she's actually used her spiritual channels as a healing practitioner. So she would check with her spiritual channels on how to serve others, and she would bless people with different conditions, and she would hear how many times to serve them, how many quantities, and these people got really, really good results. Now, for a new person, you may be saying, but I'm not a practitioner. I'm not a healer. I don't know how this can relate to me. I've also had people that they've designed websites, they've designed business cards. I've even guided and trained people. They've flowed out through their spiritual channels, their own books. Some were like picture books, or like, when I say picture books, I mean they took like photographs of nature, and then they wrote through their channels messages connected to the nature. And I've had people, even design programs and classes and whatnot. So it's really practical, and it helps everyday life.
So what is the difference between someone who's using their spiritual channels to create a project, a workbook, a book, whatever job that they're in, versus a person who's not using their spiritual channels and just their logical mind? What's the difference?
The difference is, one, the frequency that goes into the project. When you're bringing a higher level frequency, it changes the energy and the feeling. And just to help people understand, think of like a song. If you have a high level spiritual being sing a spiritual song, you can feel that light, that energy, that frequency. Now, if you have someone who's not, who sings the same song, it may not move you as much. And there's different songs and different religions sung for hundreds or thousands of years. And if you're sensitive, you'll actually understand how someone singing one song has different feelings and powers. And I don't want to go into any specific religion or details because we're not teaching religion here. So that's one example. Now, the other thing that it does is it will give you information that you may not have thought of, that you may not have even come into your conscious mind, and that may actually be very critical. Now, you still have to do the physical work and bring your physical knowledge, whether you're using your spiritual channels or not. So someone who's not is going to use their physical knowledge, their expertise, maybe research, gather information, and more. They still may create a very powerful project and product. Is it fully aligned with the spiritual world? Maybe yes, maybe no. Can they accomplish everything? Possibly, possibly not. I'm not going to say 100% no, but there can be trials and errors in research, market research, and things that possibly could be avoided. I give you an example. There's a magazine company in Berlin, Germany, when I lived there. This man, he just said, hey, I've been doing this market research. We're paying lots of money. It's almost done. It's been, 12 weeks. What's your opinion? I said, I don't have an opinion. Let me give you a reading. I gave him a reading. He wrote it down. A couple weeks later, he messaged me. He said, I should have just used you because it was much faster and you told us the exact same thing that this market research firm took 12 weeks to figure out. How to redesign their magazine. They had all these different designs. They did this and this. They got the opinion of the public, yada, 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 etc., whatever. And I just in 5 minutes flowed out the best design and what the best messaging or whatever it was. I don't even fully remember at the time. There's also, currently I'm guiding someone on a project and they had all these ideas and right away, bam, design elements, bam, message elements, bam, this. And she was like, this woman, she just said, this is gold. She said, if the business world really understood what they could get from these readings, they are priceless. So it can give you information you may not know, information you may or may not be able to research, even market research may not. It will also give you direction and guidance that may take you months or years, so it can cut down on the process to get where you want to get.
So opening your spiritual channels and receiving the information, directing your project or whatever really you're doing in life, because it comes from a higher frequency, you're saying that the success is greater as well. Likelihood of success.
It could be. You still have to make it happen in the physical world, right?
Okay. That does make a lot of sense, because we often hear in history how Einstein gets his big ideas when he's in or Tesla in his dream state, or like Newton was napping, the apple fell on his head. And a lot of people say they get their best ideas in their shower, kind of like when the brain is in a different state of mind. And when the brain is in a different state of mind, you can receive information from a higher frequency is what I think, is what makes sense to me.
And it also allows you to get yourself out of the way. Now, one of the struggles people have with their spiritual channels, generally everyone goes through, is doubt and trust. Because people want to kind of understand as much as possible and to feel comfortable with something before they go and do it. Now, with spiritual channels, you don't always understand everything. That's the honest truth. And you have to go for it. Now, the other thing that I see is you get the message, and then sometimes the mind want to block. And I just tell you an example. I was guiding someone with a upcoming business meeting and preparing them spiritually with flows and readings and whatnot. And this person all of a sudden just told me recently, oh, I'm going to bring so-and-so to the meeting. I heard no. And the person was shocked. And I told the person why. I said, you won't get the same success because this is a one-on-one meeting. And now you're bringing a 2. And people respond differently to 2 than to one-on-one. And this is a key meeting for you to connect heart to heart, soul to soul, and to really build that relationship so you could have a future success in these business ventures you want to go into. Yeah. Person is shocked. Person said, oh yeah, I think maybe I was just doubting myself. I said, stop. You actually will block yourself by doing this. Right away, the person shift direction. But that's also how our blockages want to block us from success. Even though you already have the message, right away, mind coming and want to do something different.
That's so interesting. All this is so fascinating. And I must say, open spiritual channels really has no limits to where you can use it. And it is a very practical tool. One thing that I feel is kind of a misnomer is that people will tend to think, it's not for me, I'm not on my spiritual path, this and that. But actually, this sounds very, very practical. It sounds like a lot of business people would love this information. And because, the business world is definitely something where, relationships, communication, connection is key for the business to be successful. So this sounds amazing.
And let me give another story example. Now, I had a student in Berlin, and her partner at the time, businessman, doesn't really believe in this. But she, as a birthday gift or Christmas gift, some kind of gift, I don't remember the timing, gave it to him. And of course, he came out of respect. This man was so skeptical. This man was like doing it but this man brought me very difficult business questions from from someone who knows nothing about the business. Now, I did the readings a little different way. I just listen, I repeat out. This man brought me all kinds of scenarios in 1 hour. And I said to this man, and it was about leadership of this company. Like, there's the leader. He's feeling doubts about these dynamics between people. He was trying to get out of the business, ... whatever. I literally read out percentages, success, strength, weaknesses of these people working together. If he goes this direction, what can happen? This, and this. This man at the end said, I'm very impressed. He said, I would not have thought that coming in here. I just thought this was whatever. He says, you confirmed some of what I was feeling. You confirmed what I thought I might need to do that I didn't want to do. And you gave me new information I was unaware of. I know exactly what I need to do now. Wow. I didn't see him again, but the man went back to his partner and said, I'm very impressed. I totally understand now. And this is dealing with $1 million business. It is not like a small bit. Well, it could be, it depends, but it's not like a one-man business. This is a business with many employees, like big, kind of industry, factories. It's a bigger business. It might be small business compared to like the way they define all these things, or medium-sized business or whatever. But this is like even people who don't understand or don't fully understand. You can use spiritual channels practically. You can use it to grow your spiritual journey, find your true love, improve your health, avoid some health issues. Or if you have health issues, maybe guide you through it in a better way. It's just beyond words. Opening your spiritual channels makes your life sweeter, makes your life better, makes your life clearer. Does it make your life easier? In getting information, but you still got to do your work. It doesn't mean all of a sudden there's no challenges in life. And so at this event, January 6th to 8th, you will love it. We're going to align you for 2023. Open your channels, even if they're not open, as much as we possibly can. If you're open you further. And we have a series of guidance questions. We're going to guide you through in a safe, loving, supportive environment so you can receive messages to boost, to bless, to guide yourself into the new year.
Well, there you have it. All the reasons to please join us January 6th to 8th. And thank you for everyone watching, your comments, Johannes, Kiru, Yvette, and Laura, who thinks the teachers are brilliant, very passionate, which I'm sure everyone felt just now, and the class is well delivered. Thank you, Laura. So as David has mentioned, the Master Shah Dow Center London, our workshop is January 6th to the 8th, which is this weekend. We are also holding an introduction to spiritual channels. If you would like to find out more, Taste the Pear, which is tomorrow night. And there's the banner for that, 7 p.m. And all our classes still right now are online. So please click the link, go to our website, register. We also offer on Wednesday evenings a totally complimentary night, Tao Healing Technology, where we share the wisdom, the techniques, and the teachings of Dr. and Master Jigong Shah, where if you also want to just get a taste of a little bit of what we do, if you have a physical condition, emotional, mental condition, spiritual condition, or even just kind of want to find out a little bit more about spiritual channels, because in everything that we do here at the Master Shah Dao Center, we utilize this technology of communication from a higher frequency and source to get much more successful results if you do your part of the work. So I thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, David, for joining us and inspiring us, getting us all enthusiastic and excited about this weekend. So it promises to be an amazing year start. So please join us, upgrade your 2023 by joining us this weekend. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.